Going good. How are you?
Awesome. I'm good. So excited to be back for episode 4. We gracefully titled this I'm Fine from one of our favorite episodes of season 6. There's so many in that TV show that we could reference with the whole I'm fine when I'm not fine. But this is one of our favorites where Monica is sick and she's trying to convince Chandler that she's not. She's trying to seduce him, actually, but he continues to say, I'm fine. And he says, if you put a D at the end of fine, you're not fine. So we are fined.
Find.
And we thought that was perfect for today's maybe not so upbeat topic, but we think it's pretty important. So we'll get into that here in a little bit. So what's new with you, Lisa?
Oh, goodness. I feel like not much is new, but a lot is new with going back to work and just being super busy with that. I feel like I haven't seen you in so long, but actually I had something really funny happen to me today. And I was today years old when I found out that if you leave a bottle of wine in your hot car for too long, the cork will bust out of it.
Yeah, that's a shame.
The foil to prove it.
Oh, man.
Luckily, it was in my CG workout bag, standing upright. Otherwise, I would have had a whole bottle of wine spilled in my brand new car.
So can we talk about why you have bottles of wine in your workout bag? You're just going to try to glide right over that, weren't you?
I really was. I was hoping you weren't going to bring that up. But yes, my mom gave me a bottle of wine when I saw her this past weekend. And it was actually rolling around in my car for a while. So I decided, let's stand it upright in my Camp Gladiator bag because there's a bottle holder, the bottle, right? And luckily I did that. Otherwise, disaster.
Your car's been through enough, and we'll talk about that a little more later. But lessons learned, at least it wasn't a messy lesson to learn. There wasn't too much cleanup involved.
Exactly. Use your workout bags to hold your wine up. What's new with you?
Oh, goodness. So much. It's been so busy. You and I have still managed to stay on top of our communication with each other, but mostly we're communicating about how busy we are and how behind we are and everything. My son turned 2 last week. Big emotional birthday. I just can't believe it's blown by. I feel like it was just yesterday he was born. So much fun around that. His dad surprised him, and COVID birthday, trying to figure out what you can do. You can't really have a party and invite people over. And so he called the local fire department and just said, would you guys come out and surprise my son for his birthday? And they did. They said, as long as we don't have a fire, we'll be there. And they showed up, siren, horns, everything. So it just made his day. And the whole neighborhood kind of came out. One of my neighbors was joking, like, Jamie, are you cooking again? What's going on over there? But it turned out to be a really awesome birthday, and we have some pretty awesome neighbors, so we did a little driveway celebration. So it was great. I wish you could have been here.
Me too. I would have loved to celebrate with y'all. That sounds so fun. And I'm glad nobody in Houston decided to have a fire, because I feel like you probably would have set one just to bring them out there.
Yeah, I appreciate everyone being responsible that day. And so big shout out to the League City Fire Department for making my little guy's day. They even, took pictures with him, all socially distanced with mask on, but it was really nice. Really made his day. I told my husband, I don't know how we're going to top that in years to come.
That'll be a tough one to top, but I'm sure your husband will think of something.
Yeah. So one follow-up for everybody listening, if you listened to episode 3 with Dr. McPherson, I want to let you know today her sign went up on her business. It looks beautiful. Eyes on Westlake. If you're not following them on Instagram, give them a follow. She's hiring, so things are really looking good for her business. It was so... Don't get any ideas, Lisa. It looked bleak for a while, but I think her story is just one of resilience, and we're so proud of her and so happy for her, and just wish her so much success on her new business. So.
Yay, we're so excited for you, Blythe.
So today's episode is a little bit, I don't want to say dark, but it's probably a little darker than our others. We try to stay upbeat in the others, but one of the things that we talked about that I mentioned from my interaction with the Zoom CEO on that company town hall was how much I appreciated his focus on mental health. And as I mentioned earlier, Lisa, you and I make it a point to interact with each other every day on some level. We've made that kind of COVID commitment. And I think it was probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, our interactions, there was a trend, and we were both just kind of hurting, like kind of going through a rough time. And I said, I really think that needs to be our next talking point, because I think it's so important. There's so many people out there trying to raise awareness on mental health. And I think for so long, I didn't understand it. And then even when I started to understand it a little better, I never understood it as much as I did during this pandemic, or, the awareness that this has brought to light, because I've never suffered from it. So I could never relate. And the level of anxiety that I've had in the last 4 months is something I've never experienced in my life. And I know you've had your own similar experiences. So I just thought it would be really nice for us to share kind of our stories, our journeys. I think it's really important for everyone listening to know that we don't rehearse these things. We kind of just say, this is what we're going to talk about. And here we go. So we may cry, we may laugh, we may find out something new about each other that we didn't know, but hopefully it'll resonate with some people, and some people will understand that they're not alone. We're all going through this, and everyone's struggle is different. Everyone's journey is different, and we just have to kind of band together and try to help each other through it.
Absolutely. As you said, you haven't gone through this before, neither have I. Even when I first started going through the anxiety, I didn't really know what it was. I just thought, oh, my heart's racing, everything's fine. I'm shaking and sweating when I probably shouldn't be, but it's fine. So, even if somebody has a smile on their face, they can still be going through something, and you shouldn't be ashamed of it. We all go through it in some form, and I think it's good to talk about it.
I do too. I think it's so important, and it's so important to reach out. If you're not lucky enough to have somebody like I do with Lisa, that close friend or confidant, there are some resources out there, and we're going to highlight one of those at the end of this segment. But it's just talk to somebody, because there are so many people, even if you don't feel like you can talk to those you're close to, there's so many people that care about you, and people need you to be healthy. You need to be healthy. And, it kind of rolls into everything we talk about with customer experience and all of that. You can't deliver the best to your customers if you aren't in your best mental health state. It's just not possible. And so as much as you want to put on a smile and pretend like you're fine, at the end of the day, it just trickles down, and everything in your life is going to suffer if you don't focus on you and take the time to really make sure that you're healthy. So Lisa, I'd love for you to share some of what you went through initially when this hit, and what your journey's been like.
Yeah, definitely. So let's start kind of at the beginning of the year. It's January, and there's talks of coronavirus. I didn't know how serious it was. I'm not going to get into too many details, but I did get out of a long-term relationship at the beginning of January. And, that's tough on its own in any scenario. So then COVID happens, and, I'm home alone. I live by myself, and it's kind of a little eerie. I'm like, I don't really have anyone to interact with, and I'm a very extroverted person, if you haven't noticed. And so kind of going through that was a little rough at first. And then, of course, I've talked about this, I got furloughed from my job. And so I'd never not worked since I was 16, 17 years old. So I didn't really know what to do with myself. I didn't know what to do with my time. And that's when I started getting really anxious, thinking of bills. I just got a brand new car, and, I live in a house. I have a mortgage, but being able to talk to my friends and family, it really helped me just vent and get things off my chest. And of course, my parents are amazing, and they're like, if you need anything, money or help, like anything, just let us know. Food, like we'll come and feed you, things like that. So they're very sweet. And it's funny to think that I had such high anxiety when I first got furloughed, and then it did turn out to be fine, because talking to friends at work, they were really stressed out. So they had a whole nother level of anxiety that I wasn't even aware of. So, going through all of this, there's two sides to this anxiety level, right? It's, I didn't know if I was going to be able to afford to pay for my house and my life. And then other people weren't sure if they were going to be able to focus on their day to day and their health because they're too busy focused on work. And so it was really interesting to see. And I know you're part of this. So one thing that really helped me during furlough and not having a job was our Bible studies. We started doing that virtually with a couple of our girlfriends, and that really, really helped me. And if you're not religious, that's totally cool. But just finding a group of friends to just gather and to talk and to, yes, we were reading the Bible, going through different books, but you can just do that with your friends. You don't have to necessarily go the religious route, but it really helped me not be very anxious.
Yeah. No, that group was really helpful, and everyone's walks were so different, but it seemed like our anxieties were very similar, even though they were about different things. So it was really good, and I'm excited that that's continuing even now.
Yeah, me too. Well, what about you, Jamie? What was your experience like? Because you haven't stopped working.
No, I haven't, and work has only increased. I'm probably kind of like your coworkers, where some people did get furloughed, and you're so grateful to not be one of those, and so fortunate. But the workload kind of increases for those that are still there, because you still have to kind of spread out those jobs. So that was stressful. The workload didn't stress me out as much as the anxiety of, am I next? Like, could it be me? And having a little one, you just worry about so many things. You have this level of, they call it mom guilt, and it's such a real thing. Like, everything you're doing, you feel guilty about because maybe it's not exactly right, or maybe you're not making the right decision for your child and for your family. And so I had a lot of anxiety around that, and I had never experienced that before. I think because everything had always been kind of under control. We always worked. Daycare was great. Jobs were good. We could travel to see our families when we needed to. And then all of a sudden that kind of came to a screeching halt. And it's like, okay, now we've got this whole, in addition to worrying about jobs and everything, it's the health side. Like, how do I keep my family from being exposed? How do I protect my son from this weird, pandemic and this virus that's changing every day, and every day the instructions around what to do to protect yourself are different. So that was a whole weird level of anxiety. And then, in my neighborhood, something happened Memorial Day weekend. My husband and I were sitting on the couch watching Dateline, one of my favorites. And maybe I should preface this with the neighborhood we live in. And Lisa, you've been here. Our house is relatively new. It was built in 2017. I think it's a beautiful neighborhood. We have wonderful neighbors. We have so many kids that are our son's age, and so many wonderful activities. We have food trucks. We have neighborhood adults that ride around on trikes and call themselves like little trike gang. Like, it's just a really fun neighborhood. So Memorial Day weekend, my husband and I are sitting on the couch, and all of a sudden I hear gunshots, and they're close. They're really close. And I throw off the blanket that's on me. I hear my phone go flying, and I run to my son's room, and I just grab him and take him to my closet. And I'm freaking out. We yell at my husband to bring me his phone so I can call 911. I get rerouted to two different things. Look, that's a whole other conversation. But I heard 4 gunshots, precisely heard 4 gunshots. And then everything else, it's almost like it was just cymbals in my ear. Like, I didn't hear anything. Complete tunnel vision, getting my son getting to the closet. And come to find out, there were actually 17 gunshots fired. And they were in my neighbor's driveway. The proximity to my house, these are not 0 lot lines, but it's not big lot lines. I mean, it's a matter of feet. So a small matter of degrees, one of those bullets goes to the right, and that's where me and my husband are sitting on our couch. And it it turned out to be something related not to my neighbor that lives there, but with her son and an issue he had with another guy. And that guy was trying to quote unquote send him a message. Luckily, nobody was hurt. Luckily, no one was injured. But the if I thought I had anxiety before that night, um, it just and it doesn't help that it's Memorial Day weekend, right? So people are shooting off fireworks the next night. The whole thing of my son just not understanding what was happening, and even to this day, I mean, there's not a car that drives past this house that I don't analyze or don't look at and you hear a little bit of commotion and all of a sudden you're on edge. And that was a really scary night because you just feel so helpless and you just want to protect your family. And I know my husband felt the same way of just not being able, things are just out of your control because it's happening somewhere else and you don't understand what's going on. And so yeah, that was a really tough time. And then the next month, man, I feel like I'm really bringing this conversation down. But one of my friends, my really close friends of 20 years, passed away, and it's a healthy guy, amazing guy. You had the pleasure of meeting him, and still to this day, we don't know what happened. His girlfriend found him collapsed, and it's devastating on so many levels. And the one that I think is the hardest is that lack of closure. There's no service. There's no, uniting of his friends to kind of talk about all the good times and like pay this tribute to him. Like we're all spread out and you can't even go hug his mom and tell her, how much we love her, and everything's through text and phone calls, and it doesn't feel the same. And so in a way it doesn't feel real. And so there have just been, so many things. And now, like I mentioned before, when we wanted to go see our family, we drive to Fort Worth, we drive out to West Texas. But with everything going on with this pandemic, you have that fear of doing that. So now we're just isolated. We're just here and we don't have any family here, none whatsoever. And it's hard. It's hard when you combine all of those and they just start to stack. And I've seen a loss of sleep for me personally. Like that's one of the things, like I went several weeks where I just did not sleep, and it was just, my mind was racing and I was anxious, and I just kept, I'm just praying. Like, I don't know what's happening, God, but I just need you to take control, because clearly I can't do this on my own. And so I know that was a lot, but it feels good to get it out. It feels good to talk about it. I know that everybody has different struggles. Lisa, I know in addition to your job, you went through some other things. Your car, you mentioned that you got a brand new car before COVID. And then
I really got to talk about it. I'm just kidding. Yeah, so fun story, not fun. Brand new car. It's Friday afternoon, just running errands, nothing crazy, and not even a lot of cars around me. And I'm going to go ahead and just say it was probably a dog. I was really hoping to be like a coyote, but I tried to miss it and just overcorrected, lost control, and my car was not drivable. And so, it is what it is. So dealing with that with, I don't wreck cars. I'm a good driver, and having to deal with insurance and all that stuff. And they're not going to adjust cars. They're just taking it straight to a body shop. And I'm like, you're not going to go and look at it. Maybe it's, maybe I don't have to do that much work to it. And they said, well, because of COVID, we're not going to the cars to assess the damage. I'm like, great. So I was without my brand new car for almost a month. It was over 3 weeks just to get it into Service King and have it looked at and worked on. But they did a great job.
And, it's so funny when you say it, it's like, oh, yeah, first world problems. I had to do without my brand new car. But it was something you worked so hard for and you were so proud. I mean, I wish people could see the way you were when you first bought it that day, your pictures, like everything. And so, again, it's those layers, right? It just starts to add up. And then for that to happen in the midst of everything else you're going through, it's like, why?
It did. And then to top it off, I ended up going back to work. I got called back and I was very happy. Well, not at first, but I was happy to have a job. So it was great going back, but we're super busy at my office and I've been going in because I have to help operate virtual events now. And so, we're being safe, wearing masks and all that good stuff, but having to try to deal with my car getting fixed and having to go to West Fort Worth because that's where Progressive Senate, driving back and forth, but still having to do my day job. It was so stressful because I felt like I couldn't get away from work just to take care of personal stuff. But somehow I did it. And I mean, just like you said, you just keep praying, and I can't do this on my own. Praying to God just to help steer me in some direction to make sure that, I'm okay mentally and physically. I've been doing a lot of virtual workouts with Camp Gladiator during COVID, which has been great because so many people can't go to the gym because they're not open. So I was still able to get a workout in. It's an hour, just something for me, only me. And that's been a godsend. So thank you, Camp Gladiator, for the virtual workouts, because otherwise I don't know how I would handle it. It's just an outlet for me.
Yeah, I really love that point you've made, Lisa, which is you did something for you. And I think that's so important, whether it's 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 50 minutes, find something that works for you. For us, it could be a Bible study, it could be working out, it could be taking a few minutes to read a book or do some meditation, whatever it is, but really try and slate out some time every day for you so that you can be the best you for you. You can be the best you for your business or for the company that you work for and for your family and everybody that loves you.
Yeah, I definitely think doing things for you is an absolute must, because if you're focusing on everything else and everyone else, then you're not going to be able to pay attention to, and it could sound selfish, but people don't need to see it as being selfish. Take care of number one. Take care of yourself, and then you'll be able to take care of everybody else. And if you feel like you don't have a thing that's just yours that you can do on your own, pick up a new hobby. I have a friend of mine who wanted to learn the stock market. And so he just started learning it and started trading, and he has a pretty decent portfolio right now. And so, it's good days, bad days, but that's something he enjoys. I had this wild hair. I wanted to learn how to juggle. And so I got juggling balls and I just started learning how to juggle, and I would send friends videos of my progress. And I might have made a music video to a friend of mine's song with my juggling skills. So just things for you. I think you've picked up a few things. Are you painting now?
I did. So, something I did as a teenager and a little bit young adult. And so trying to pick that up again. I find it very relaxing and soothing. I also picked up my guitar again last week for the first time in years, probably 10 years. So, yeah.
I love that. I actually wanted to get a piano and start learning that again because I took lessons years ago when I was maybe like 9, but then I went to work. So maybe I'll get on that piano. We can start our own little band, Jamie.
Oh my goodness. The possibilities are endless. See?
I think something good too to focus on. I had a friend of mine ask me the other day, he said, what's one thing that you want to do before 2020 is over? And I was actually really kind of shocked by that question, because I guess I haven't actually had somebody ask me point blank, hey, what's a goal you have for this year? And I think that's something great to think about is, what do I want to accomplish? We sit here and think about our anxiety and our mental health. And it's like, well, let's start a goal. Let's plan something for ourselves to either, I want to juggle for 5 minutes straight or learn a new song, any type of goal. And I think it's great for the people to maybe think about that is, what do you want to do? Have a goal. And once you get there, awesome. Don't just stop there, but keep going. I should probably set a workout goal. Maybe get some muscles on these arms.
I need to set a workout goal. You're inspiring me. But I think you're absolutely right. And I think it's so important when you're setting goals to make them visible, right? It really helps hold yourself accountable if you can see them every day. So, just a little post-it on your mirror or somewhere. It's nice to put a mantra maybe beside it too. So you can remind yourself, think positive, be positive, and let's go get this. Let's go tackle these goals. I like it. Maybe we'll follow up on the next episode on what goals that we've outlined before 2020. I like that. I think that's really good, especially you have to think about them in the kind of era that we're in right now, where, it's limited travel for some people. I guess it just kind of depends on how you're approaching the pandemic. But for my family, it definitely has limited our travel. And so it'll be interesting to try to come up with something creative in that space, maybe as a family and my personal, what I want to do before the end of 2020. I like that. That's exciting. Thanks for bringing that.
Yeah, of course. And if we bring it up, we're going to have to stay accountable. And I think that's a whole nother thing too, is staying accountable and having those friends to help you along the way. I think probably a really big accomplishment that I think you and I have achieved together is our Snapchat streak.
That's a big one. What are we at, 124 days?
124 days today. And for those that don't know, we still don't know a lot about Snapchat. I learn something new almost every day. But apparently, if you and somebody Snapchat each other back and forth at least once a day, a video or a picture, it can't just be a text, but you can start building streaks. And you have to do it within 24 hours. And so, yeah, Jamie and I were at 124. So
I thought you were going to say something that's really come out of this was the podcast, but no, the Snapchat, that's a good one too.
Oh, yeah, that.
Yeah, this. Yes, both very, very important and very great examples of what you can accomplish when you have the right people, the right friends, hold each other accountable, and just try to grow together. We're going to grow that streak. We're going to grow this podcast.
I love it.
Oh, man. This has been good. Like I said, I feel so much better even just getting out there. We normally close out with the Could You Be Any More Awesome small business spotlight. But today, I don't think it's a small business necessarily, but it is grassroots. We want to highlight NAMI, and I'm not sure if that's how it's pronounced, but it's NAMI.org, and it's the nation's largest grassroots mental health organization. And so if you are struggling, again, that website is NAMI.org. They have all kinds of education, they have support groups, they have helplines, they have a lot of video resources, online discussion groups, and they have more than 600 local affiliate chapters. So there's likely to be one near you. So give that website a look up if you're struggling and need a place to find some information or some help. Again, reach out to your family and friends. You'd be surprised how many are going through something and just putting a smile on their face and trying to pretend like they're fine. I also want to give a shout out to Mr. David Cantu. Our intro music and our podcast music, we all owe to him. He's also been doing a lot of our video editing, so we appreciate you so much, Mr. Cantu, also known as 23. All right, thanks everybody. We look forward to talking to you on the next episode. Stay safe, take care of yourselves. Bye, Lisa.
Bye, Jamie. Bye, everybody.